Welcome back to the Trout Conjurer YouTube channel. My name is Jonathan Antunes, and this is the Lou's Blue. Let's get right into tying it. I'm going to start with a Catskill long. CLSD is the name of the hook. Partridge of Redditch, Catskill long. It's a dry fly in a size 16. And the thread that we're going to be using for this fly is the Veevus C18. There we go, C18 and 12/0, which is a dark olive color. Just going to apply a little bit of wax here to the front of the thread. And we're going to start about maybe an eye's length away from the eye. A few turns will do it. You don't really need all that much when you're tying with wax. We're going to tie in our ribbing now. This is a ultra wire small in silver. Just kind of set this thing up at the top, kind of in line with where I tied in. Just going to slowly go around there and just catch it. And then I let that thread torque take my wire to the back. You'll see that this thread starts to kind of open a little bit. And that's okay. I'm going to keep it as thin as possible. The 12/0 is, that's the whole reason for the 12/0, is to keep this pattern as thin as possible. Now for the fun part. Dubbing. Excuse me. When I first started tying this, I started tying it with this MFC old as heck gray olive UV frog's hair, right? This old package. This is no longer made, unfortunately, and it's really bad because this color is so cool. It's got a lot of UV flash in there. It's got a little bit of gray. It's got a little bit of brown. So cool. Great stuff. Great color. And I bought as many packages as I possibly could when I found out they were going out of production. However, I have been able to find something that looks very, very close. And in the past, I've used Hemingway's UV Hair Dubbing Plus, but I couldn't find the right shade of brown and gray together. So what I settled on was a combination of two dubbings. The Tactical Microflash Dub UV in Done from Fulling Mill. Okay, that's going to give me the gray and the UV. And then Magpie Materials Secret Squirrel Dubbing, the bleached version, is kind of a brownish color. And that gets me the brown color in there. And let me show you. This here is the MFC frog's hair. Okay? And this here is my mixture. So you can see I've gotten pretty darn close here with that match. And I'm happy with this. This will do it. And for now, I'm going to use as much of this frog's hair as I possibly can. Man, this dubbing just gets everywhere. All right. So flip this over. I can work clear here, and I can do my dubbing. And I'm just going to pull this until I've got just a wisp. And that's going to be the very back. So I want to keep that as thin as possible. The nice thing about making the dubbing yourself is you can add more flash if you want to. So, kind of a as you like it. Okonomiyaki dubbing. Just put this right up to there. And take a few turns. Bring this over. Once you've got it started. And now we're just going to work this up. And build the taper. If you need to hang out in a few places, do it. And what you really want to do is keep yourself at least an eye's length away with the end of the body here. Because you're still going to need to tie in. You're still going to need to tie in the wire. I like to build a little bit of a cone here because it helps flare the hackle later. So that looks good to me. Take the wire, make one turn right at the back, one full turn, and then just kind of head up the body. There we go. As many turns as you feel is right. I'm not going to tell you 5 turns. It's whatever looks good to you. Put that wire, tag it down with 2 turns right in the back, and then maybe 1 or 2 turns right in the front. And now instead of helicoptering this off, I don't like the little pigtails that leaves. So with real small wire like this, I can just go back and forth. And there we go. It just snap right off. And that kind of keeps me from getting that pigtail the next time I'm going to use the wire. So, hackle. I have said in the past that you can use Partridge hackle. And Partridge would definitely be like the easier one to get here. However, the original recipe, the original fly, was tied with a dusky grouse. And dusky grouse is kind of a grayish brown feather with little black barring, little black marks. You can see those feathers right there, right on the neck, are the feathers that we want. And it's kind of a brownish, grayish, and with the black barring in there. Nice, really nice feather. And I really enjoy tying with this particular bird because it's not a bird you see very often. And that makes it special to me. And I like tying with things that nobody else is really using, or it's not on everybody's radar. So I'm just going to take one feather. I'm going to talk about this feather here because I've been doing a lot of classes lately, and I started to realize that some people are struggling with how hackles look, right? Or how to select a hackle for the right size of the hook. And I think part of it is some people are looking at the very back end, or some people are looking at the very front end, and they're thinking, oh yeah, well, that's where I'm going to tie in. There's a point in this hackle where the tips start to get smaller and smaller as they go towards the point, right? And then on the other end of the spectrum, the stem starts to taper until it has its connection point, right? Well, at some point, that stem stops bending, right? And it starts to get a little too stiff to wrap. And you can almost see what's happening there, where you just kind of, as you tilt this over, you can see how that stem, if I can do this correctly, you can see how that stem just wants to bend in a certain spot, right? And you're looking for that spot because that's the hackled part. No matter whether you're using a stiff hackle, like a rooster hackle, or a soft hackle, they're all going to have the same characteristic of having a stem part that's too thick to tie with. And the way you can find that out is just by bending it. Take that feather in your hand and bend it. And wherever that feather bends, that's where you want to tie in, right? So I've determined that it's right around here. Now, that's the back part sorted. Now we have to worry about the front part, because the front part has all of these little ones here that taper towards the front. So what I do here is I take this and just kind of rake these back, and I'm checking to see the lengths here. And I think that's pretty dang close. These are pretty close to the same size, right? And if I keep going forward, I'll end up with feathers that are not going to be the right size. They're going to be too short, right? So everything from here forward is just progressively shorter and shorter, right? So this is the part I'm going to get rid of. I'm just going to make a little triangle here, very small, right? Somehow I always end up with this. There we go. Okay. So there you have it. Your little triangle tie-in point. They're all the same. All the hackles are exactly the same. So when you're looking for a feather on a bird, you want to make sure that you're looking at the right part of the bird. And on a soft hackle, that's going to be a short little section right in the middle. And I recommend you take one of the, like you take a hook, the same hook that you're using, put it into a, plunger style hackle plier, and then just take that hook and just start rifling through your feathers and see which, until your eye gets really good at judging that distance. Just do that trick instead. Just take that hook, put it on there, and then if you're not good at judging that stuff just by looking at it, that's a great trick to get your hackles all to be the right size for the fly that you're tying. So I'm cording this up basically to keep it from flaring out when I tie this in. And I'm just going to get one good grasp in there. And if you find that any of your fibers are sticking over your eye, which at this point they're not, but take your thread, put it over the eye. As soon as you get to the neck, take that thread, put it over, and sweep, right? And then complete your turn. But right now, that's not a problem. This is going to be just fine. Now, the thing about this is that there's not much hackle here. And if you're using a hackle plier, especially on small little feathers like this, highly recommend a CNF hackle plier. They're making them now where they don't have this ring in here. And this ring tends to fall out. You don't really need it. But now they're making them without the ring, which is good. This thing has a gusset here that expands and it moves. And that's nice because it keeps you from pulling on this hackle. Take this, sweep these back. You're going to make one turn. Might get 2 turns out of this feather, which is totally okay. And that's 2. And as I hackle, I'm moving forward, of course. And now I take my thread. The nice thing about these is that they're fine. They're kind of a fine tip, so I can kind of sneak my way past there. And I put 2 wraps behind, 1 in front. I'm just going to let go of this. Now I got this stem here. Let's cut that. And now I'm going to build a little bit of a head here. This is not silk, so I can kind of mess around a little bit. Let me cord this up. It gets too flat like that. I can't get this stem to lay down. There we go. Perfect. this whip finish. Put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And make sure you seat that really well. And get some glue. I don't have my UV glue. My UV glue is still in my travel pack. So I'm going to get a bodkin here and just dip this. Now, here's the tip. If you find yourself kind of shaking hands, you know, have that shaky hand thing going on, you know, my hands are still relatively still, but I've gotten into the habit of not being careless about this thing, because this is the very end of the fly. You want to begin well and you want to end well. So what I do is I take my hand and I put it on my vise. I rest it on my vise. Right now I have my elbows and my vise, and my elbows are on my armrests and it's resting on the vise here. And now I can put my thumb here and then put my other hand here. So now I'm resting, I've got 3 points of contact, and what I like to do is I like to tilt this upward, and I think I have a little bit too much glue there. Tilt that upward and then set the glue on the side of the hook, right? And what does that do? It keeps it from going into the eye. This works more times than it doesn't work, and that's why I continue to do it. And I flip it over and I do the same thing to the other side. I'll let that glue kind of do its work on either side. Might need a little bit more for the top here, but that's about it. And fortunately this stuff is a water base and it's not too thin, so but that kind of gives you a little bit more accuracy. When you can rest your thumb and put that bodkin right there, you're not shaking at all, because you've got 2 points, 3 points of contact, and it's very stable, and you can put that wherever you want, right? There you have it, and we let that dry, and that is Lou's Blue. That's it for the tying portion. If you're interested in listening to this next part, you're free to listen. This is kind of the short story. I tied this again one evening, just making it up, and I was going to go fishing the next day with my friend Lou Rogala. And Lou was fishing with a 10-car rod, and so was I. And I kind of handed her a few of these, and I said, "Here, try this." And so she did, and immediately started to catch fish. And I'm like, okay, well, shoot, I guess this thing is pretty good. And so I kept fishing it, and we had a great time that day catching fish. And yeah, it kind of became a staple in my box. I kept fishing it, I kept using it, it kept working. And I can fish this on a 2-dropper as the point fly. I can fish it as the top fly, and I can dance this in the surface with the bob fly setup, and it works extremely well. I think it would do really well too for midges if you tied them small enough. They probably have an interesting time trying to find hackles that small. But I'm sure there's some partridges out there right at the neck that you could find some tiny little feathers for. It's one of my favorites. Very simple, very easy to tie. And I'd love to hear of your experiences with it, because I think that it's going to be one of those flies that just kind of makes a mark for you. It's definitely made an impression on me, and I'm glad that I tied it. Well, thank you very much for listening in to me go on, and I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and we'll see you on the next one.